I'm not reading, I'm just looking at the picture. Welcome to the cold, hard truth on sports.
Welcome all. I'm your host, Matthew Long of the Cold Hard Truth on Sports, here on the GoLong Media channel on blogtalkradio.com, Spreaker.com, and the app. You can check us over on YouTube Live. I'm on Google Hangout right now. I'll share the link here shortly. Just watching the last 20 minutes or so left in the Gold Cup Group B between Nicaragua and the United States. U.S. is up 2-0. Two of their biggest stars aren't playing in this one. So trying to work in some of the younger guys and create some more depth. Can't get upset about that. Can't get too frustrated with when you have something good going and you're able to allow development to happen. You know, not enough teams, not enough leagues are fortunate to be in that position. But tonight we got a lot to get into, a lot going on in the NFL. The Panthers fired their GM 8 days from training camp. We got the Washington Redskins publicly making an address on the status of the Kirk Cousins. That's right, Kirk Cousins. And I'll get into that a little bit more. On his contract, or them franchise tagging him again, and Ezekiel Elliott. He'll actually be the star in our segment, The Sports Blotter. So, obviously, that's never a good thing when you're on the blotter. So, all that plus the NBA, we got some things going on over in the NBA. For those of you that are looking for a historic franchise that has won some championships in the third largest market in the country, that has some well-known stars and potentially the capability of making a good run at the West and potentially an NBA title, is up for sale. The Houston Rockets. Up for sale. I'll get into that. I'll talk about a few of the individuals who might be interested in purchasing the team, as well as the summer league's over. There's a champion of the summer league. By the way, the all-time ratings. They're all-time ratings this year in the summer league. More people watch the summer league this year than any year in the past. So that's a good sign for basketball because it's very hopeful seeing that this young quality talent that they have there. Again, I'm not saying NBA ready developed talent, young quality talent. They're very raw though. So with the G League, hopefully that they're able to work on that and get some people, some coaches and training staff down there to better facilitate that. The G League and the NBA is going to have to do some serious moving and shaking to really build up the effort that they have there for developmental basketball. Because right now, hands down, NCAA college basketball is better for the athlete, regardless of which angle you look at it as. I know a lot of people. Let's face it, a lot of us have dreams, but not everybody, and most of us don't have what it takes to realize our dreams. Just don't, There's tons of people out there right now. Maybe they went to school for broadcasting, or maybe they went to school for journalism, and they're working in a factory, or, they're teaching at a community college, English. I don't know. Or working some other job, probably sales, that they didn't imagine themselves being into, but for one reason or another, the money was there, and they were able to and they were able to make it work for their livelihood. I don't know. My I have a phrase that I use all the time. Life happened, and you don't choose when. You know, and that's the thing is for everybody. Life happens, you don't choose when. You don't know if that next horrific injury will happen to you in 5 minutes or ever. So to not have a backup plan is ridiculous. You know, I was on the side of the fence for years that we have to pay the college athletes almost like employees, the same way that you would professional athletes in a certain regard, just because this colleges and the NCAA make so much money in that regard. Now, after more research, more time talking with people that are closer to the situation, not just guy that was a walk-on. Yeah, that's the toughest part. We're talking about a lot of times when we sit back and we have the debate: should college athletes be compensated in some way? Should they be paid to play, or should they be able to make money off their likeness? We're talking about the top of the top, the 20% of that team, the top 20% of that team. We're not talking about the walk-ons or the guys that have partials. They're only getting their books paid for. You know, we're not considering them in that conversation. So, and that thing is, some of these college athletes don't get paid. Some of them don't. But some of them choose to walk onto a certain program rather than getting a scholarship or an opportunity at a different school. At a high school, I had opportunities in Division II in Iowa. But as you see here, from Nebraska, I wanted to walk on. I couldn't afford to. Plain and simple. That was the end of my career as a Cornhusker, right there. I didn't make it past the financial aid office. But that's part of the problem, you know, when you have a job and you work ever since you're 13, and then your parents have full-time jobs, and the household income is higher than the threshold, you know, they're looking at debt to income. They say, my friend, your family makes a lot more money than you think. Oh, yeah, your your parents aren't good with handling their debt. Okay, so that's what changes it. There really isn't money to pay for it. The credit's not there. The credit's not where it's at to get loans. Again, when I was going to college, the same type of loans and stuff that were available when I was going to college isn't the same thing that, you know, is available now. Even 5-6 years ago, you know, it was much different. You know, regulations and stuff were a lot looser. Are a lot looser now. You know, everybody can get a loan to go to college. They want that. They want to make money off your loans going to college. That's been part of the problem. I mean, we have one of the highest, some of the highest graduation rates in history, year after year. But the thing is, we don't need more college graduates. We need more experienced workers. And that's the thing. We don't have people that are experienced. You know, and people think I'll go to school and I'll get some training. And a lot of people, you know, it's best go to a 4-year university, find something that you're passionate in, go into that field and get your education and training in that field. Meet as many people as you can along the way. Talk to everybody. Shake everybody's hand. You know, say happy birthday. Say, you know, whatever you got to. You know, get inside circles. Know people. You know, because once you get out with that degree, the degree might help you get an interview. But outside of the degree, unless the person that's hiring that's their alma mater, the degree just shows that you've had some training, but it doesn't say you have any experience. Training and experience are different. It's very different. I've had football training. Doesn't mean I could play in the NFL. People tend to confuse those things. Training with experience. I don't have any NFL playing experience or coaching experience. So I wouldn't expect to land a job being an NFL player or an NFL coach. I wouldn't expect that. I don't have any experience doing it. Zero. But I have played football. I have coached. I've scouted. I've run businesses. I've helped build up other businesses. But again, that's not what it all comes down to. So I'd say if you go to college, you have coaches that are more vested in your time and your energy. And yes, you do have to go to college and take classes, but at least then after 3 years, you'll come out of there with an associate's degree and some other life training. Those are the core classes. That's more of the fluff. It's not that hard in 3 years to get. If you're going full time, if you're a student athlete and you got full classes, you should be able to accomplish an associate's degree in 3 years. But at least then you have an associate's degree coming out of it and a better understanding of business, finance. That's the thing is these schools aren't catering these things around guys that want to be athletes and what they can do after their careers. If this guy is just really, that's some people struggle academically. They don't get math. They really don't get the writing. They're not that great at reading. And maybe it's the school system they come out of. Maybe it's the environment they come out of. It doesn't herald education and learning and being able to grow in some sense. Maybe it doesn't. But should that mean that if somehow they're able to pass to get enrolled in the school and to be able to be on the team, that people shouldn't do what they need to do to make that person successful? I mean, a lot of people are saying AAU is killing the NBA, but if you look at the statistics of guys that came straight from college or straight from high school to the pros, and now guys that are going one and done, it's so much higher. More people on average are doing one and done versus coming straight out of high school. And the guys that came straight out of high school, they had to be exceptional. And to be frank with you, those guys are going to be in the top. If they would have came straight out of high school, they were probably going to be in the top 10 picks anyways in the NBA draft. Speaking in the NBA. But one and done, what did we end up? We didn't really change much. For the most part, if you go look at Nike's rankings of high school athletes from age 14 on, from the time that they're 14 to the time they're 18, that list of kids doesn't change a whole lot in substance. It's pretty much right there. Those are the same kids. And then go look at the first round of the draft. The kids that went one and done. It's pretty much the same kids since the age of 14. Now, in some parts, I know a lot of people say, well, college basketball during the regular season is almost unwatchable. Well, if you're into college sports, it's fun. If that's what you're looking for. If you have a school and you follow your school and you you watch a few games here and there. It's fun. The regular season's fine. I like the tournaments better. The preseason tournaments, the Wooten Classic, the conference championships, the the Big Ten ACC Challenge, the interconference play like that. I like that. That's fun. Those are the games I really watch. I don't pay a whole lot of attention to when UAB is playing Nebraska, wherever they're playing. Even though UAB has played well, I really have no interest in watching that game. Unless I happen to be there and there is some sort of storyline around it and I don't have something else occupying my time that is on a higher level of importance. Because let's face it, everything in life, we have a hierarchy of needs and understandings and wants and things that we need to meet, deadlines, stuff like that. If I have stuff going on in the NFL, I can tell you it has to be something really big for me to pull off to another sport. Just because the NFL is so widely consumed. I don't have a lot of choice. If it's something in the NFL, I mean, I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna write about it. I'm gonna have a writer on it. Somebody's gonna be doing a video blog or something like that. So it'll be there. The NFL content will be there. It has to be there. So the U.S. just scored again with about 3 minutes left in the game. They're up 3-0 over Nicaragua. It's been a pretty interesting game. I watched a lot of the beginning of it, finishing up the show prep. It's over. I'm watching it on FS2 on the app. So, but I mean, look. I mean, you see the wall behind me. So January we have the NBA. We're finishing up the NBA season, and we're really at the middle end of January. It's after or just before the All-Star break. So what we're finishing up is kind of understanding where teams are, and we're getting to go into making some moves at the All-Star break because it's your trade deadline. So here's the thing. I chose the Shrine game, covering the Shrine game over that. It's an official NFL event, just to kind of give somebody an example. So, and just a couple weeks before that, covering the national championship game as well. But it's really tough because I always hear people say, you talk more soccer. And you guys been talking more boxing. That's great. How about some more MMA? The thing is, MMA right now, it's entertaining, but it's really broken down to, it's gotten back to the point of where the old fighters or the people that we know we've seen good stuff out of rematching and going at it again. And then there's Conor McGregor. Obviously the UFC has loved Conor McGregor because he's been willing to take on all comers. It doesn't matter who. He's willing to go up against anybody. Now, we have him. They went on this 4-day world tour between him and Floyd Mayweather Jr. And it's been, again, it's a hype tour is what it is. They call it a media tour, but it's a hype tour for all intents and purposes. They're trying to get people invested in this to where either it's emotionally invested or somehow interested in it to a point that you're willing to spend $100. I myself, I don't consume pay-per-view. I don't. Obviously, because the line of work I'm in, and I have other means of seeing fights or seeing sporting events. So for my particular case, I don't consume it. But if somebody, it's again, I haven't also since Tyson Etienne. That was a while ago. It was like 2002. 2000, yeah, it was like 2002. Knocked him out in 16 seconds or something like that. And I was like, oh, the undercard was decent. But I haven't bought a fight since then. But I've always went with people and got a fight. And we'll, throw down on it or have a fight party, So $100 to see this. Again, you could spend $100 on a lot of things. Busch Gardens. If you want to go to Busch Gardens for one day pass to Busch Gardens is like $108 plus tax. Yeah. 108. Disney, get out of here. I mean, again, do these themed parks have more to offer? Yeah, they have more to offer in different ways. But that's just you. About the wife or the boyfriend or the roommate, kids. Jesus, 4 people. You're looking at almost $500 for 4 people to go to Busch Gardens to ride roller coasters. And if you didn't time it on the right weekend, you're going to wait 45 minutes to an hour in line to ride a roller coaster. And the longest roller coaster is like 2.5 minutes, 3-minute ride. The Cheetah Hunt, which is awesome roller coaster, by the way. But that's it. I mean, for the day. Plus food, plus parking, plus if you get any swag. And we're talking $100, and you can have however many people you pack into your house watch. On however many TVs you have. Because if you're beaming that in, you can just put it on a bunch of TVs. You have one out on the. I would have like one out on by the pool. I'd have one in the kitchen and one in the main area, the main living entertaining area. So I'm going to other places in the house and I can see it. It's, I usually go, if I did it, I'm going to have the fight on the main screen, then I'll have a couple other screens. Or you could just go somewhere. But when you're going to a restaurant, like, I don't know, there's a lot of places, Ducky's in Tampa shows it. Ducky's is great. The guy that they had, the promoter that was there for the Canelo fight, the guy was not good. Not good. Like, I'm a pretty calm guy. I can get excited, but to where I genuinely don't like the person that I'm having a conversation with after really not knowing you at all, that's a tough accomplishment, which he was able to accomplish. So, round of applause for him. Winghouse shows him. Winghouse, Hooters, I think, shows him sometimes. There's local bars. Just call around, find out who shows them. Again, that's in Tampa. If you're outside of Tampa, I have no clue who the hell is showing the fight. Some cities, people aren't going to show boxing. But the Mayweather-McGregor fight, or, it's going to show. They're going to have it places. They won't have choice other than to have it. Because if they show MMA, they're going to have that there. Because the MMA fans are rooting for McGregor to win. Because they feel like that he's being counted out because he's stuck to using just boxing. But they're saying he's going to be bigger, he's going to be stronger, and just as fast, which sounds imposing. So I think, again, people saying, oh, it's not going to be entertaining. It's not going to be. Listen, I'm so certain that Floyd Mayweather will win the fight. But I'm so certain it's going to be entertaining. It will be an entertaining fight. As far, probably more so than a lot of Mayweather fights. Because McGregor is going to be John. He's going to be talking. I mean, he's going to be swinging for it. If McGregor could pull it off, that's huge for him. Again, I know he has to make weight. So they're fighting at 147. Normally his weight class is 155. It's not a huge dip down. It's basically coming down from a middleweight. But that's just the thing is, he when he makes weight at 147, which I'm sure he will. Guys like him don't miss weight. He'll make weight at 147, but he might be closer. He'll be back up above the 155. He'll be probably closer to like a super middleweight. Maybe 160 by the time the fight hits. Floyd can stay around the 140. He might be 150, 148. The thing is, the way the rules work is they don't have to weigh back in unless they missed weight. So the second weigh-in is not necessary. But we'll see what happens. Floyd could put a cap on weight gain too. But from what I understood, there is no cap on the weight gain. See, this is the interesting part about boxing. Everything is negotiable. Everything is negotiable. So it doesn't matter what detail it is, it's negotiable. The weight of the gloves is negotiable. Where the fight is, who's the A fighter, who's the B fighter, whose name is read first. Everything is negotiable. Who the main sponsors are, who's putting up the most money for the promotion. Everything with boxing just about is negotiable. But on the other hand, so much room, so much variety creates confusion. Again, I've talked about how boxing, and again, basically my model by breaking it down to a channel. Again, if boxing could pull together to build a UFC, a UBC, Universal Boxing Champion, it would be better for the sport if there was something of substance. Because I've heard a few people saying, the UFC just sold a few months back for like $4 billion. It's a lot of money. That's probably what the Houston Rockets would probably end up going for, between $3 to $4 billion. So they just sell for $4 billion. But if somebody wanted to go buy boxing, what would they buy? A promotion company? But that's not even a slice of boxing, really. Because then you got to be able to have a working relationship with Bob Arum, Eddie Hearns, Al Heyman, Oscar De La Hoya, Floyd, and his team. Guys over at K2, There's just so many promotion. Rock Nation. There's so many promotion companies in boxing. It's everybody's a startup, and you're just competing in this economy. It's not really a league. It's not a league. There's different sanctioning bodies, which have different rules, which have different fighters. And they can all fight each other, but they don't always fight each other. Sometimes because maybe it's too hard of a fight. It's tough. So this is why right now, my favorite fighter is Vasyl Lomachenko, a guy that he went 386-1 in the amateur ranks. One loss in the amateur ranks. He has 2 gold medals, and he's a champion of the World Series of Boxing, which I covered again. So I've seen him. I was able to see him at the amateur level fight. And he comes out and he signs with Bob Arum in Top Rank. And he wants a title fight in his first fight. He got close. A former title holder. And won. Very decisively. Toyed with the guy. Then gets Orlando Salido. A lot of dirty fighting. Against Salido, that's what he's going to do. He's a very active puncher. Dirty tactics, active puncher. It's some things it was tough for the judges to see. But if you look at the scorecard, as far as the CompuBox, as far as who landed more meaningful punches, who landed at a higher percent, Vasyl Lomachenko gave him a boxing lesson on how to be efficient. But he didn't. Orlando Salido is a champion. He's not going to lose his title to a guy that's in his second fight that wants to win by points. You got to knock him out or show him up like the other guys did. But the dirty boxing techniques and his just constantly throwing was able to keep him in the fight and yet winning the decision, which on my scores card, Vasyl Lomachenko won. Again, it's kind of like the thing with Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao. A lot of people turned into that. That was a good fight. Again, Pacquiao was past his prime, but the fight was entertaining. People were like, he's winning. And then the decision at the end wasn't what people thought it should have been. That's controversy. And the problem is, and I really have an issue that when you tear down the sport in that way and you just say, this is why boxing is dead. This is why nobody watches it. No, that's not why nobody watches it. We've had controversial ends in the NFL and the NBA, bad calls. There's a dozen or so bad call endings in baseball each year. People still tune into baseball and basketball. Let's not say because you think the ref had a bullshit call. Pretty sure every college football, every football fan has that phraseology, that you have eyes like a referee. Probably need to get them checked. I mean, everybody does. So it's asinine to sit and think that this is something that is unique to boxing. No, the problem is the people aren't familiar with the fighters today. They tuned in because they knew Pacquiao, and it was on ESPN, and it was streaming everywhere on the planet, and it was on cable television. That's why they tuned in. It's Manny Pacquiao, one of the greatest. And he's going to fight this guy in Australia. And it's one of the largest crowds for a boxing event, the largest in Australian history. So that's in the history of a country and continent, because they're both. So, and they tune in. Oh, and this, you know. And you know the best move ESPN could do? Never have Stephen A. Smith around boxing again. Stephen A. Smith does not know boxing. And he doesn't care to try to learn and understand boxing. He's okay with his limited understanding and just wants to pop off. And frankly, it's annoying. He looks like a fool, and he sounds like a fool. And it's just, it spoils something for a casual fan, because he's going off on this unscripted tirade. And it's fine. I mean, do it on First Take. Go and do that. Do your shtick on First Take. But when you come to do your commentary, do the commentary, you know? But you can't, Stephen A., because you don't know boxing like that. You really don't. You want people to think you do, but you don't. You don't follow boxing. And I can tell. And you know what? Boxing people can tell too. You know? You don't see me talking hockey outside the Tampa Bay Lightning here and there because somebody brings it up. You don't see me talking hockey. Oop. And hockey probably has the most entertaining playoff of all of them. And I still don't even talk Stanley Cup or NHL playoffs. I don't know hockey. I don't. Again, it's another sport that falls during football, baseball, basketball. I got boxing. I got college football. You got March Madness. I mean, there's just so much happening at the time. Things are going to fall by the wayside for me. Now, if you love hockey and you want to come on and talk about hockey, come on. Call in 347-237-5539. You can say whatever you want. I won't even bleep it out. If you want to do a hockey show, I'm fine with that. Hit me up. We'll have a conversation. I'm not opposed to having that on a network. People like hockey. You want to do soccer? I don't care. Do a soccer show. You like cricket? Really doesn't have an American audience, but I'll tell you what. Almost all of Europe and half of Asia are into it. There's an audience for it. If you want to have a cricket show, by all means, hit me up. We could talk about it. So I'm not looking away from it because it doesn't need attention. I just don't have the expertise to talk about it. And I'm not going to put myself out there to try to pretend I know something in detail when I don't. Got the big three on. The big three is pretty interesting. I'll watch that later. No, I'm not going to talk big three basketball. Even in July, I'm not going to talk really big three basketball. There might be a point in time where 3-on-3 basketball will be a thing. It'll be a legitimate league in a sense that really viewers tune in. I mean, it's on tape delay right now for a lot of reasons. One, they have 10 teams. They play 5 games in a row. People aren't going to sit around that long. There's no time. They play to 71, 72 or something like that. Was it 72, 62? They play to a number. I'm pretty sure they're putting 3-on-3 basketball in the Olympics, by the way. Just throw that out there, too. So you can see that an appetite for it is there. You know, the world talent is there in a sport like basketball, and it's going to continue to grow. And I'm just saying, a lot of companies are behind curves. NBA franchises are so behind the curve on development. It's shameful. Only 27 of the 30 teams in the NBA, by the way, there should probably be 32 teams in the NBA. They don't want to do that. The owners don't want to. Mark Cuban voted it down. He was very adamant voting down adding more teams to the league because now you have 2 more teams you have to share the pie with and share the revenue with. Are the TV deals going to go up? Yeah, but they're going to go up regardless if you add teams or not. But the development teams aren't there either. I see you. A message here. Just got one here, Matt. If the NBA is spread so thin as it is, talent-wise, why would you add more teams? Well, it's not necessarily that the NBA is spread so thin talent-wise. It's undeveloped talent that comes to the NBA because they aren't staying in school long enough, or they're having to spend too much time in the D League. Again, when you're in the D League, G League, the developmental process, you are not playing. They can only have 2 players that are on 2-way contracts between the G League and the NBA. Because you can only have 2 players, I mean, that means everybody else on that 15, 16-man roster is going to be just there, making peanuts, nothing, enough to barely get by for, I think they play 52 games. So with hopes that they may make a roster. And that's what the summer league's all about, getting guys that have been in development league for the last couple of years, guys that they see the highest praise in, plus their new rookies, getting them out there on the floor, playing together, and seeing who might come up when they get into their camps, preseason camps, then who they're going to invite there and who's going to make the roster. Again, the NBA hasn't figured out a way to monetize the combine. They were able to monetize the draft, which is only 2 rounds now. The NFL is 7. You got the first round on a Thursday, second and third round, fourth through 6. So you can have 3 to 4 days. If they wanted to stretch it to 4, some people would tune in. I don't know why, but some would. You have 3 days of draft. It's ludicrous. There's 3 days worth of college and pro football fans that sit and watch coverage of where college kids are getting drafted to in the NFL, most of which aren't making a roster or will make any sort of significant impact at all. And then they do it all again the next year. The combine has seating. This is a workout. People will pay and tune in to people watching people work out. I mean, I get there has been in the past the world's strongest an appetite for world's strongest man, but again, literally you're tuning in to watch people work out. And you know what? Boxing does that too. They have the week of the press public training session gets people hyped up. And we haven't seen those yet. Those are the week of. Usually. The week before the fight, the final training session. They'll have a public one. Bring people out. I'm going to see me hit the bag a little bit. Gets people riled up. Take pictures, ask questions. Muhammad Ali was famous for those. It was an event in and of itself. People used to go to his workouts, his training session, and he would answer everybody's question. He would finish his workout, or sometimes people would say stuff during his workout, sparring session or whatever, and people would call out to him. He'll answer the question even during then. You see, the one thing that Muhammad Ali did great that nobody recognizes. People say, oh, he was just an entertainer. No. Being entertaining isn't enough. What made him greater wasn't because he was one of the best to get in the ring, that he was outspoken. And a guy named Gary Vaynerchuk talked about it. He talks about it a lot, actually. It's kind of been his whole thing, interaction. He is willing to interact directly and connect with people, See, that's why, I'm over here. I got the screen here in front of me with the camera on YouTube. I got just above that, I got studio soundboard for Spreaker. To the left, I got Blog Talk. And why? Why simulcast on 3 channels at one time? Why? What's the point? Because it's connecting. I want to be more convenient. Oh, by the way, even though it is YouTube Live, you can go to YouTube, you can also go to Google Hangout as well. And just search the Cold Hard Truth on Sports radio show. And you can actually feed in to the show. Yeah. So we got a little over an hour left in the show. A lot to get into. But don't come at me with boxing is dead. It's not. People like to say things are dead that they're not, that they're ignorant of. Just say, hey, I really haven't watched boxing lately. I don't know much about it. I don't watch MMA. It's too brutal. Maybe it is. But just say, I just haven't watched it. I've been busy. I've been doing other things. Maybe sometime I will. Invite me over to your house for the McGregor Mayweather fight. I'll throw in on your $100. I got 5 on it. I'll BYOB and I got 5 on it. Again, the price tag, $100 for a group, not bad. I mean, you pay more than that when you go bowling. Rent a lane. Rent 2 lanes for like 10 people. Yeah, bowling. We're talking bowling. A sport to some. I lettered in bowling. That's the weird nerdy thing. If it's nerdy at all, I lettered in bowling. I happen to be good at bowling, and I bowled in high school. It's one of the few sports you actually have to pay to try out for. I was good at it, so I paid. I tried out. I made the team, and I lettered in bowling. Fat Joe. That's something I kind of missed the summer basketball, the street ball teams, Terror Squad. Yeah. That's the thing is the 3-on-3 basketball is like a structured version, like better talent, like actual NBA talent in kind of that similar type format almost. Because again, we've all played basketball. Most people have all played basketball at some point. So you can kind of relate to 3-on-3 basketball more than NBA. But these guys are professionals, ex-professionals, and they're playing 3-on-3. So even though you play basketball, you played 3-on-3. It feels more like a pickup game, even though there's teams. So it's even more relatable. I can see 3-on-3 basketball blowing up. I think there's the stomach for it, especially since people know the players. That's the struggle with a lot of other things. Arena football, I mean, they get by, but they're never going to be the NFL. They're not ever even going to be the CFL. Because arena football or indoor football, either of those two leagues, yeah, it's guys that couldn't make a roster on an NFL team and a CFL or didn't want to travel to Canada, wanted to stay closer to home. So they're playing arena league. It's the closest thing the NFL has outside of college football to development. That's just it. But people don't know those names as well. And these are guys that get drafted, don't make teams, or go undrafted. Again, there's a lot of good talent that goes undrafted. There is. But they seemed big when they were in college. But now they're playing for money, and you don't know it as well. So, but that's okay. I'm going to move into the NBA. The NBA Summer League just wrapped up. The Lakers won the Summer League, which again doesn't mean a lot. Lakers fans are extremely excited about it because they finally won something. Not a ton of meaning, but it's closer to something of substance. And Lonzo Ball was the MVP of the Summer League. He missed a couple games and still ended up being the MVP, including the championship game. He did not play in the championship game at all, and he was the Summer League MVP. So, obviously, those around the Summer League are holding him in high praise. And I have no problem of them saying that there was some minor injuries why he didn't play, or if they said he was a healthy scratch. It doesn't matter to me either way. It's a business decision for him not to play there. It's not helping him, I don't think. I've heard a lot of people say, "Oh, it's a championship game for the Summer League with D-League players and a couple of the rookies." I'd rather see, as somebody that's looking at development, who else that I have on the team that can pick it up and win a championship for the team. I'd rather see them than him. I know what he can do, and he has higher expectations than to win a Summer League championship or game or put up triple doubles, which really other than the teams keeping their own box scores and stuff, they really haven't widely kept box scores in the Summer League at all. Just score, not box scores. But this year, highest attendance, highest viewer rating in league history for the Summer League. It was worth the box scoring for them. So, now, what does this say moving forward? Now, I was saying a little earlier in the show, in case you're just tuning in, the number to call in 347-237-5539. If you want to call in and listen or whatever. The handle for the show is up here on the screen if you're on YouTube at the CHT on Sports, or you can hit me up directly at Matt Long Sports, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff. Facebook, I have Facebook Messenger up, so if you hit me up directly on Facebook Messenger, I will get it. I get so much mail on the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I go through that, once a day, and that's in the morning. So if you do it over there, I'll get it tomorrow morning, and I'll respond, but it won't be during the show. If I had the intern or somebody else tonight, I would put them on it, but I don't have anybody else doing that tonight. So, and I see got people on the line too. So, but anyways, you can hit me up. I read the messenger here; it pops up in front of me. So, does this change a lot for the season? Well, yes and no. Yes, because now this is pushing some hype and expectation as we roll through the summer into the fall for preseason and where these lineups stack. Again, there's still a lot of movement going on. The Knicks saying that they don't want to buy out Carmelo's contract right now. And basically that's just saying, Houston, your offer is still too weak. Houston are smart business people, and they don't want to leverage the future and value and too much value of the team to get Carmelo, who's at the end of his career, and he's going to take a huge chunk of the cap to begin with. So it's kind of that situation. What more can they give up? Houston is going to have to get another team involved if they're going to get Carmelo, which could happen. Again, Melo has 2 years left on that contract. Other than the fact that Carmelo doesn't want to be there, they have no reason to get rid of him. Truly. Why? I mean, you're going to pay out the money? Let him walk? Why? Because you're trying to rebuild? I mean, you're not making very good decisions anyway. You just signed Tim Hardaway Jr. Was it $70 million? I think it's all guaranteed. You signed Tim Hardaway Jr. after drafting a point guard in the first round. I'm just saying. Again, the Knicks may be one of the worst run, clearly one of the worst owners, if not the worst owner, but one of the worst run teams in sports. Like, there has been years where they had decent coaches, decent players, and still couldn't find. And like the highlight of the team was Jeremy Lin, an undrafted guy at Stanford, Harvard, Ivy League. Anyways, yeah, that was the highlight of the Knicks. It's crazy. It's such a dysfunction. And you have a guy that put in a good part of his career, and he actually has a desire to be around the team, be a part of what's going on, and the owner just wasn't want him around because he has some sort of beef with the guy. It's childish stuff. It's just, if the NBA could force Donald Sterling to sell because he's racist, then they should be able to force the Knicks into a situation where they need new ownership because he's an idiot. He's not good for the Knicks. We're talking about your largest market in the country, and they can't make anything happen there. Nobody really wants to go there. LeBron knew he wanted to play with Carmelo, but he didn't want to go to New York. And by the way, Knicks fans, I think you're just content on being incontent. You just like being pissed off. I think you take more joy in the misery of your sports teams than in the glory. It's kind of like you're kind of like that person that you enjoy talking about the vacation you're going to go on and how great the vacation is going to be. But then when you get to vacation, it's kind of well, it's not all I thought it was going to be. It was all right. You know, we had fun. Like that's New York. That's Knicks, Jets, you know, Islanders. Yeah, I mean, New York fans. That's what it ends up being. It's like you enjoy talking about the vacation you're going on and how much it's going to be great. More so than actually. Again, that's not necessarily a bad thing. There's a lot of people that enjoy the process more than the end results. Because again, the end results would mean you've achieved it. So what if you see, that thing is some people struggle with achieving the goal. They don't know where to go on from beyond the goal. I did it. Now what? They don't know how to reset or to go beyond what they did. Yeah, I got there. I took a cruise to Cancun. Now what? I don't know what to do. What do I do now? This was my ultimate goal. I took a flight to Peru. I saw Machu Picchu. What do I do now? Bitch about it. That's what you do, New York fans. Bitch about it. Let me go to the phone line here. Let me bring in, I got David in Atlanta. How you doing tonight, David?
What's going on, man? How you feel?
I feel good. How you been?
All right. I've been chilling. You know me.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean,
Yeah. So
there seems in sports there's been a lot of business moves going on, not just in the NBA. With it seems to be more saturation of the entire league, where stars are moving more west, or they're moving to teams that may be more appealing. Obviously, we haven't got too many. We really don't have any more new stars in the league, but the stars that are there have kind of have shifted around to be with teams that are more meaningful. So some business moves. Obviously, it was kind of odd, I think, to some people to see OKC willing to give up so much to get a guy for 1 year. You know, from the Pacers to get Paul George. You know, to see CP3 decide, I'm going to go to Houston with another ball-centric guard. And how does that work? Like, it's interesting. But Houston wants to get Melo. Melo was like, I'm going to the Cavs, or I don't know, probably nowhere else. But then it's like, oh, Houston sounds like a good idea now. But New York wants more than what Houston's offering. So they're saying, we're not in any hurry to buy out the contract. I mean, that's just the NBA. That's not even saying, like, looking at the NFL, I mean, 8 days from training camp, Panthers fire their GM, which I think he was doing a pretty good job. I mean, not a terrible job, but I think he was doing a pretty good job. Again, he had to make a lot of tough business decisions. Again, when people really fans at all don't understand the business side of, you know, he moves at the trade deadline in the middle of a season where they're trying to, right after they win a Super Bowl, they're trying to get their balance the year after, you know, the hangover, and he trades one of their top linebackers, Klein, away. And they let Norman walk. and, making a lot of tough decisions on what they're gonna do. I mean, introduced into a really shitty cap situation to begin with, he tried to do the best what he could. I mean, Griffin was offered, I think, close to $30 million to take the Orlando job, and he said, "I'll go for less to Cleveland because I understand they have Kyrie and they're going to get LeBron." So he went there.
Yeah.
They got David Blatt. Kyrie had his new contract, and then they got LeBron. So he got a ring out of it. But overall, if he was in Orlando, I mean, do you think he would be in a better situation if he would have took the job in Orlando versus the job in Cleveland? I mean, he got a ring there. He would have more money in Orlando.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like sometimes business is a catch-22. You do what's best in the moment. You do everything to get it right in the moment, and either hoping or thinking it's going to work better in the long run. And then somebody doesn't feel right and they fire you. And that's just the thing is, if you're not writing your own paychecks, you're kind of at someone's mercy,
Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's how it is. At least you're getting really good compensation in the meanwhile, though.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm on NBA now still. What is your thought behind the summer league, the boom of the summer league? Do you think it's just because just the media has been able to light a little bit fire under this, give it a little bit more attention than it normally gets? Is it kind of the ball effect?
Yeah, exactly. Because he came in with name recognition. So then the media decided, well, we can get people to pay attention to it because historically they never covered the summer league. Like I used to watch it on NBA TV, but they never really covered it. I watch it because I'm just a basketball junkie like that. But ball coming in with already name recognition, they figure we might as well cover it because it can get people to pay attention to it because they already know who ball is. Because the way sports is working now, especially for basketball, is people are burning themselves on the internet before they even get out of high school.
Yeah.
So the whole country, though, even really the whole world knows who you are before you fucking get out of high school. Like, there's so much content now with kids playing basketball before they even get out of high school. It's ridiculous. So if you can really build a brand, you can bring that brand with you into college and then also bring that brand with you into the NBA. And I think you're going to see a really big power struggle between players and these organizations in the next few years because they're coming in with brands. They don't need the NBA's marketing to try to give them a brand. They're coming in because of the internet. Like, I'm on YouTube and it's ridiculous.
I mean, I get guys, like I had a guy today. Here, I'll pull it up. Tell you exactly where he's from. I get people that send me film all the time or training. He's in Nigeria. Contacted me, try to get some advice how to get to the U.S. or Europe to play professionally.
Gotta go to Europe. Tell them to go through Europe.
Yeah. The thing is,
I gotta go.
Even to get to that point, like before I would even move that on, I need to see something. Just because you think you can.
What's the dimension?
Well, that's just it. Like if I don't have a league, if I don't know anything about a league that you've been in, and just going off basically you saying that you can play, I don't have any video.
Okay.
What do I have to go on? You think you're good?
Okay, I thought he sent you a video.
He sent me. I haven't looked at. He did some training videos. He doesn't have film and in-game film, but he has some training stuff. I haven't been able to look at it yet. He just sent it to me this afternoon. But that's what I'm saying. I would send him through Europe or South America or the Caribbean. Those two places before here, because he'll get more exposure and development there than he will here, which is the irony of it. Because you'd think you'd have good development where the in game was. And to be able to have, I mean, the NBA is
No,
supposed to have.
development
What's that?
is terrible here.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, development is terrible.
And that's
It's terrible.
I mean,
It's terrible.
when you have a league
Terrible.
that's expansive in the NBA, and only 27 of the 30 teams own their development affiliate, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It just shows that
it starts even before that.
I mean, with Major League Baseball, I mean, they have their affiliates, single A, double A, triple A, and then they have subdivisions of those, and then every team has developmental leagues. Like the Rays alone have developmental teams in leagues, in Major League Baseball leagues, in Dominican Republic, Venezuela, Brazil, China, and there's one. I think that there's 6 of them all together. I can only think of the 4. Those 4 off the top of my head. But still, that's Italy is one, and then one other place. So they had those development teams. Those are teams that the Rays pay for. That's part of their budget that they're developing play. Alex Colome, a guy that was an all-star last year closer. He came from the Dominican Republic through their development league there, their development team and league there. He has not been in any other team or league since he was of age to play baseball at a significant level. I think he's been there since the age of like 14 in the Rays system and hasn't been outside of it. So they've controlled that process the whole way. But Major League Baseball has reached outside the U.S. And that's why I keep saying, like, the NBA, Major League Baseball, the best players, for the most part, the bulk of the best players are not really from the U.S. The basketball, more so there is. That's why people keep watching it. But a lot of good players are still from outside the country. College football, professional football, the best players are from the U.S. That's why Americans gravitate towards that more. And then the NBA. Hockey, it's more Canada, Russia, That's where those players are from, Canada and Russia. So you have a sect that watches it. Boxing, that's inner cities and international. People aren't watching it as much.
International.
MMA is kind of the same thing as it's the younger boxing fans. Their parents were probably boxing fans. They watch MMA and they're probably hockey fans as well. Kind of the same kind of fit for them. So that's the thing, is like molding it all together. But again, even with boxing, the top fighters in boxing are not from the United States, and that's why Americans don't watch it. I mean, look at the situation Floyd is in, and people hate Floyd. But the thing is, they couldn't find him another fighter that was close enough to be at his level, that they're going to have to make this off-brand fight with a precocious guy from a whole nother sport to make a payday. Boxing couldn't even give him a legitimate competitor to sell.
No, they got one.
No, that people know.
They couldn't get one that sells.
Yeah, they couldn't get one that sells. They have talent. The talent. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Let me clarify my remarks. Yes, there is talent. There's a lot of good talent that is worthy of getting in the ring with him at welterweight, at super welterweight. Either way. Even a fight with Canelo again. That would be I think that would sell. I don't think Floyd wants to take that fight. And I know Canelo would.
He wouldn't take that fight right now.
But again,
Floyd wouldn't take that fight right now.
He wouldn't.
He probably he wouldn't take that fight. That's not a smart fight for him to take right now.
No.
That's not a smart fight.
Again, that's the other thing. It's about finding the guy that's sellable. Conor McGregor is sellable. You can say a guy that's 155 champion in another sport. He boxed when he was young, and he went into MMA. And I mean, it's a crazy story. So you got a guy that's talking to us all he's big on his money. He's a heel now. He talks shit. I mean, the guy was on welfare, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? He's on welfare. And now he's made more money he's ever made. One of the highest earners in the sport. And then on this one fight, he'll make more in this one fight than he's made in his entire life for 12 rounds. And I'm almost certain the fight will go 12 rounds.
Yeah, but that's why he's doing it. Like, this is a good move for Conor.
Yeah.
Because, people don't talk about how before this fight, he was going back and forth with the UFC because he wanted a bigger piece of the gate.
Yeah.
And they didn't want to give it to him.
They don't.
So with this fight, he can position himself as a major draw and essentially can attract other investors because if you're an investor, Matt, you might be looking at this and saying, why don't we just build an MMA league around Conor?
See, here's where I think...
And make him the showcase of the league. I
think Dana missed something on this fight. I think he wants to see how it works. Dana's good at promoting stuff. Here's what he missed. He's missed a huge opportunity to get UFC on the card. All he has is Conor. And Conor's not even guaranteed to stay in the UFC. Because him promoting Conor will get Dana and him a payday. But it doesn't help the UFC, really. Yeah. At all.
But it helps the UFC because he's a UFC fighter, but it wasn't gonna be no mixed card, bro.
Yeah, no. It wasn't. What I'm saying,
and UFC on the same card.
The problem is the ring because the UFC is the octagon. They won't it used to be like K1 would fight in a boxing ring, but they won't do that with the UFC because their trademark is the octagon. So if they had a way to build the octagon around, how they could have a quick ring that's interchangeable because 2 rings doesn't make sense because that's too wide of an area to put front row seats on.
Yeah.
You'd think, maybe it's more front row seats, but it gets in the way of seeing the other fight.
Yeah, what I'm saying, Matt, is this. To me, it's not a good experience to try to mix in the boxing as a main event and then try to mix in UFC with that same event. Like they're two because this is the distance. I want you to understand this. The crowd that's going to go to this main event type fight from a live standpoint is not the same kind of crowd that's going to come to a UFC fight.
No.
It's a totally different crowd.
Yes.
So you don't want to mix those crowds because they don't fit together. Because,
boxing, here's the thing.
Big time boxing events have always brought out the top level. They've always brought out Hollywood and top level entertainment. Yeah. And they don't bring those kind of people out. They don't bring those kind of people out.
That's why I said that he missed an opportunity. Because I could take it to this.
What opportunity did he miss? I'm not
to be able to. I think that they'd be able to use a salable effect with MMA and boxing if they could find a way to work convertible rings. Have a convertible ring that can turn into an octagon and a ring that can, an octagon that can turn into the ring. If they could have a way to do that where maybe they have the octagon and the ring is smaller. So under that mat, under the canvas and parts of the canvas, they have areas they could put up the posts and they put up the ropes, and then the fencing comes down and it's moved off to the side. And it's easily convertible that way, just as an example. Because being able to have both at one event is like this. Because like in the world of racing, you've had, it doesn't matter if it's NASCAR, it doesn't matter if it's, on asphalt or dirt track racing. You have sprint cars, you'll have modifieds, and mini sprints. They'll all run together. Same night, same track, and it's different segments. Again, some people are more into one than the other. But at the end of the day, they're racing fans. So for me, I like the sprint cars more than I like the modifieds. So when modifieds come out, that's usually when I got up to get something to eat or drink. That would be my intermission. And then once those initial heats were done and the B and the A main were underway, then I would watch both. So that's like the undercard stuff. Maybe you're there because you're a boxing fan, so you're watching the boxing matches on the undercard. Maybe you're not so concerned about the MMA. So you get up to get something to eat at that point. You know, what I'm saying is they can live harmoniously together regardless if their demographic is different. But what it did is just expanded it from just the same way that jiu-jitsu, wrestling, kickboxing became mixed martial arts. It's melding it back in together. See, the UFC has something unique because it has something more tangible. It's UFC. Again, there's Bellator, there's other fighting clubs that people will watch. It's not as popular. But still, it has something that's more tangible. It's a league that people can look at, you know. The same way that people look at the PGA Tour. I mean, you're not going to go out and watch some guy that's, an ex-pro golfer or somebody that's a pro-am and go to a pro-am tournament just to watch people golf. You're not going to because not big enough names. And again, it's not really organized in that same way. But the PGA Tour, you know what it is because it's those common faces. See, the UFC has that. Boxing has, it's like I said, I think boxing looks like an economy versus, a marketplace because it's a bit of everything. Anybody could be a promoter tomorrow, if you wanted to be. And then they want you to get licensed. But at the end of the day, you can find somebody with the license to say that they're the promoter, but you're doing all the legwork. It's about they want to see somebody has a license on the card. That's all. That's all they're looking for, that technical aspect. But then anybody can do it, though. Anybody could start it up. I don't want to make it sound as something as easy as opening a Facebook page, starting a fan page or something. But again, it's not to where it's a franchise. It's not franchisable. Whereas the UFC, again, UFC sold for $4 billion. But part of it goes back to what you were saying before. They keep a good amount of the cut. So their margins are much bigger than boxing is. And Dana wouldn't entertain that before, and he'd probably entertain it less now because he has to keep those wider margins to keep his value proposition up. If he starts paying fighters more, you have to see more people coming. But that's the thing is the UFC, the guys that you're going to see probably the best guys always fight each other. Unless they fail a drug test or get hurt. Those are the only reasons you won't see it. Even sometimes they fail the drug test and you will still see them fight.
No, that's not the case. The best guys don't. I mean, Dana makes fights that he knows that can sell, but he's going to lose. Getting back to the original point, he's going to lose Conor because he can't pay Conor what he wants because Conor knows that he's the only big draw in the UFC. There's nobody else in the UFC that can draw like him. So Dana's going to lose his fighter because he don't want to pay the guy what he's worth.
Yeah.
And this fight with Floyd is essentially going to ruin the guy for Dana because after this kind of person he's going to get from fighting Floyd, he's not going to want to go back down to making $2 million a fight.
Exactly.
That's ridiculous. It don't even make sense.
Because he could go in.
So that's the thing. So Dana gets a cut. Dana's going to get a cut of this fight because the guy's still in the contract with the UFC. But they got to figure out what Conor's doing, and this is what the guy's really smart. He understands that it's about a brand as opposed to being the best fighter.
Yeah.
And a lot of the guys in the UFC don't get that. They think it's about, being the best. They buy into that, American bullshit. It's about being the best brand because the crowd that's going to watch Conor fight Floyd is the same people that voted for Donald Trump. It's that same middle-aged white guy that, thinks that he's going to get his pride back by watching Conor beat Floyd, which is not going to happen. Floyd's going to watch this guy. But you just got to convince these guys enough to get $100 out of them.
Well, I don't think
But Conor's a hell of a promoter. He's a hell of a promoter himself. I got to give it.
Yeah. See, that's the thing is
the guy can promote. Like he's a very smart guy.
I get a lot of people saying after he gets his purse, he has a contract still with the UFC. He'll have to get larger purses to keep fighting. What Dana's willing to give up, no one can really say. He's going to be frugal as hell with it either way. But I think he's probably going to end up being more suited going to the WWE because, Vince McMahon will drop paper, because he'll get those big paychecks there for 2-year contract or something in the WWE. Then he'll go win a title there, so he can say he's competed at the highest level in mixed martial arts and WWE, boxing. It'll go 12 rounds. I'm certain that this fight's going to go 12 rounds. Conor's going to look a lot more impressive than anybody any boxing people will give him credit for. Not because he is better, but because Floyd's going to let him get in and get some punches off. Just blocked punches. Again, it's boxing rules. He did it against Canelo. He did it. Marcus Maidana won. Mayweather Maidana won. If you watch that fight, so many people were so excited because Floyd would get up against the ropes and Maidana would just go away, throwing these wild combinations. So a couple grazing punches hit, but everything's hitting arms and glove. He's not getting any points for any of it. And then Floyd kind of backs off, straight right hands, backs him off, moves around, gets in a few more, and he outpoints him. But it was exciting. You saw the whole crowd even in the Pacquiao fight. When Pacquiao got him against the ropes and he starts throwing off combination punches, people got all excited. Floyd knows that. He will take the punishment against the ropes so to get people riled up, to make him feel like they got their money's worth. Because that's what Floyd struggles now. He doesn't struggle selling. I mean, it's tough selling, but again, it's not. When the fight was first announced for a month, they didn't. People were like, "Yeah, this is bullshit. It's a bullshit fight." Some people were kind of still on that, but now people were starting to kid themselves into it. Oh, Conor's going to be probably he probably will be the size of a middleweight, super middleweight by the time he rehydrates and eats and everything. On the night of the fight, he'll probably be closer to 160 pounds. And even if he does have good hand speed, it still doesn't matter. Yeah, again, because Floyd is the greatest defensive boxer in the history of the sport. And even with a 2-year layoff and some ring rust, we're not going to see him out there diminished in the capacity that we just saw Pacquiao. And Pacquiao, I had him win the fight. But that's just it.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think this guy can go? This is a guy who's never boxed professionally. I don't care about the amateur stuff, what he did when he was a little teenager. That's whatever. Like, to think that this guy can go 12 rounds in a real fight, I just think is absurd.
Well, he's not going
to have the legs to do it because he's never done it.
I know what you're saying is if it was again, I don't want to say the fix is in, but Floyd's going to do whatever he can to get it 12 rounds. Floyd wants this fight to go 12.
He's got to go 12 rounds.
He wants
a lot of work because you have a guy that's like Matt. You go work out. And McGregor's in great physical shape. The guy's still young. He's not even 30 years old. But it's just the fact that he's never done this. That's like saying that McGregor can play a full NBA game. Like, he just won't be able to do it. You're not in that kind of condition. It's a different kind of condition.
It is more about completely different.
As opposed to just a free throw.
Listen,
it's a different kind of condition in the way he's used to training.
I challenge.
He doesn't have the time to get in kind of.
Well, he's had quite a while. He's had about a year. He's been preparing for it for about a year. But it's just been within the last couple of months that the fight was, again, what he's working on stamina-wise to go 12 rounds, that's something that you usually don't see for a while to go 12. And that's why they start guys at 3. In amateur boxing, it's 3 rounds or 5 rounds, and it doesn't go beyond 3 or 5. So, and then they move up. Then you see 8s and 10-round fights. and then they get to 12
Exactly.
when you get to the main
12.
events. So even there's title fights that are 10-round fights, and it's for a title.
Exactly. And he's jumping up to 12 on his first fight.
Yeah, he's gonna do 12-round fight on his first fight.
You see what I'm saying?
Again,
Does that make sense to you?
I think so much is stacked against him. There's no way he wins. But again, from the entertainment side, the entertainer side of it, they both need to find a way for him to last 12 rounds. That's what their goal is.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to be a good fight.
Well, that's the thing is
the issue with this is that how can you got to understand something? I think they're overestimating Conor McGregor as a boxer, not as an MMA guy, and they're underestimating Floyd as a boxer. This, you got to realize this guy's not even a boxer. Like, he wouldn't beat Canelo. He wouldn't beat Pacquiao.
No.
He wouldn't beat a lot of people that.
I'll put it this way:
beat your homeboy from Nebraska.
McGregor was getting touched up by amateurs in sparring.
But that's what I'm saying, though. He wouldn't beat any. There's no top 20 professional guy that he would beat at any weight class. He could come in as a super middleweight. He wouldn't beat the 135-pound guy.
I got a newsflash. The
boxer.
WBC heavyweight champion hasn't beat people at that level either. But he feels like he's somebody.
They need to match it. Then they need to match him up against McGregor because they have a better chance fighting that guy than he has fighting Floyd. Like, this is, to me, I'm telling people that all the entertainment is going to be on the front end and the Showtime special and all that. The fight to me is going to be boring.
That's usually how Floyd fights hard. It's the buildup. It's all the buildup.
This is going to be real boring because the guy's not even a boxer.
I think the fight's going to be entertaining. I think it's actually going to be as entertaining as Maidana Mayweather won. I think it will because I think Floyd wants to make.
Maidana's a boxer.
I know Maidana's a boxer, but you see, there's things like with it. Floyd can allow himself to get because he's such a good defensive boxer. He can put himself in harm's way and really not be in harm's way as much as any other person in the world.
But man, understand this. Maidana's a boxer.
It's a magic show, David. It's a magic show.
He can punch and punch and punch. McGregor's not going to be able to punch like that.
Listen.
Mark my words, and I bet you a steak dinner. When this fight, McGregor is going to lose his win around the 4th or 5th round.
Probably.
It'll be over for him after that.
Probably.
He's going to be shocked. He's going to be shocked that, damn, my hands are heavy as hell. And I trained for a year.
Yeah.
And my hands heavy as hell in this damn ring. Damn, my legs tired as hell, and I trained for a year. Because just the emotion of the fight will take it out of you.
I'm telling you, this is a magic.
Never fought this fella before. This ain't the MMA dude where it's a 5-round blitz.
It's a magic show.
You talking about 12 rounds? Man, you got to be.
The lady never gets cut in half. It never gets cut in half.
Like
David Blade.
If McGregor can go 12 rounds with Floyd, you can go 12 rounds with Floyd. And you can't go 12 rounds.
No, I can't. I don't. I be real with you. If I went 3 rounds, it would be incredible. If I could get to the end of the third, I would be. I'd feel like I was the champion. To be honest with you,
we could train you for the next 2 years, but just the fact that you haven't boxed, you're not a boxer.
No.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm gonna say this, and I got to go up and go. There's a football life with Lyle Alzado, and they talk about how Lyle Alzado fought Muhammad Ali in an exhibition fight.
Yeah.
And how the fight looked real good early, and then all of a sudden Ali turned it on, and he was just knocking the shit out of Lyle Alzado. And Alzado was an amateur boxer, but you're talking about a guy that's boxed since he was 16 years old. Like they're not even in the same. They're not even in the same universe as athletes. So I'm telling you, it's going to be a terrible fight. And a lot of people are going to be mad after the fight. But Floyd don't care, and McGregor not going to care either. So they got their money.
It's and see that's the trade-off. I think what he's trying to do, again, Mayweather will have to take some rounds off. He starts slow anyways.
Okay.
It'll be a couple rounds. I'm telling you, he's the first round. I mean, again, he will get. I think by the sixth, like you're saying, fifth, sixth round, I think he's going to be pretty gassed. He's going to be gassed.
He's going to be dead
because what he's going to do is he's going to do what he does in MMA. He's going to be press on him. He's going to be hitting him a lot. It's going to be really exciting, and Floyd's just going to be chill, doing Floyd shoulder roll. He's getting some. He doesn't care if he's lost. He can lose again against one of the top boxers in the world.
Not gonna lose round.
Listen, Zab Judah, in his prime, won the first 5 rounds hands down. 6th round through 12, Floyd won. And Zab knocked him down. Didn't get credit for it, but he knocked him down. I'm just saying, the 6th round on is really where most of the fight happens. If you can't beat the best in the first 5 rounds, you're fucked.
You ain't gonna win.
You're fucked.
You're right about that.
Because
you're right.
Look, I'll even say this. I think Vasyl Lomachenko is probably one of the best boxers that we'll see in boxing, probably in history. If he continues on this pace, he took a guy in Walters he's the axe murderer, he's known for his devastating knockout punches. And he took that guy who was pound per pound king of the weight class for years. And his corner just threw in the towel in the fifth, after the 5th round. You have Sosa, they threw in the towel in the 9th. He knocks out the guy before that in the 9th. He knocks the guy out before that in the 6th. When the last 5 guys he's fought said, I can't see him, I don't see the punches, I don't know where they're coming from, that's a whole different thing. He's so much better technically as a boxer than anybody on the planet. It is literally artwork watching him. And he just makes people look dumb. And he can. And he just goes in there, first 5 rounds, he's doing his thing. He's trying to win rounds. And then 6th round comes on, it's a different gear. So now he's lulled them into a feeling of, I can compete. Then it's like Usain Bolt. The dude slips, trips, almost falls at the start and comes back and beats everybody by 3 lengths. Like, that's how badass Usain Bolt is. When you're doing,
all those guys are boxers.
Yes, and that's Conor McGregor.
Floyd is not going to be able to carry somebody that's not a boxer. The guy's not a boxer. You can't carry. That's like he's saying that he can't, just like he couldn't carry you.
Yeah,
because you're not a boxer.
Yeah,
that's what I'm saying. So to think that he's going to be able to make this guy look better than what he is, and the problem with McGregor, what he's going to find out is that I'm throwing all these punches, and even if they're connecting, it's fatiguing to throw a lot of punches. Like, it makes you tired.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm saying, is that it's just like, it's not going to go. When I watch McGregor fight, one thing that really stands out to me is how slow his hands are. And that's how you know he's not a boxer, because there's no way he can compete as a boxer with hands that slow. That works in the MMA.
And again,
his hands are slow.
And I'll tell you, for MMA fighters, if he's fighting somebody at 170, like a Nate Diaz, those hands are coming a lot quicker, because you don't have people at that weight class that have hand speed like that, outside of, Silva, but he's a light heavyweight. But still, I mean, you just don't have that speed at that level. You don't. So McGregor to go up 15, 20 pounds in weight to fight a guy, beats him half the time. Then the ones he lost by a submission hold. And when you fight bigger guys, again, Floyd's not going for knockout. Floyd doesn't need a knockout because he can outbox him and out-defense him. He understands that it's a points game. Boxing is points.
Yeah.
The same way any other sport is. You just got to win more points. Hit and don't get hit. That's what Floyd does well. MMA hasn't figured that out. They're in there trying to bash each other's brains in. Everybody wants a knockout or a submission. Yeah.
That's what
so
the crowd wants.
They cater to that.
I mean, they're appealing to that crowd. Exactly.
But they haven't
to that middle-aged white blue collar crowd.
Yeah, again, because they haven't. But none of the fighters have wised up enough to know that I could go undefeated if I was a defensive fighter. See, that's why.
They don't want that. They're not going to promote you if you do that, though.
That's why St. Pierre. That's why St. Pierre was so good for so long, because he could grapple. He didn't have to take the same punishment. And then the fights he took that big punishment, he retired.
Yeah, they don't want you to do that.
No.
What Dana wants is his audience wants a bloodfest. That's what they want.
Yeah. So
they don't want guys trying to win on point. They want guys trying to win with some submission holds and knocking people out and all that other bullshit. I mean, that's their audience. That's what their audience wants. They want that kind of really violent type of exchange. But like I said before, again, you know, people are going to be really disappointed in a month when they watch this fight, because they're going to realize the difference between a guy who spent his whole life boxing and a guy who spent the last year boxing. It's not even going to be close.
Yeah.
Like Floyd can fight this guy in 5 years and he still beat the guy because he spent his whole life boxing. Like, I don't think people understand what it means to spend your whole life doing something. And you're 40 years old and you've been doing something since you was a child. I don't think
he was like 3.
They've never done anything that long. You understand? So I don't think they get it. You know, most people can't do something for 6 months. They can't even stick to a fucking diet.
Exactly.
You know? You're talking about a guy who's been doing something his whole life. You know what I'm saying? And people look at Floyd. Floyd's 40, and he's not overweight. His face is not fat. He's not carrying a lot of, he doesn't have to really do a lot of cuts for this fight because he stays in shape. Because this is just, it's his lifestyle. It's just what he does. I think that's so abnormal to most people. They think the 40 means something. That means something to regular people like us that are out of shape at 25.
Yeah.
It don't mean anything to this guy.
No.
It doesn't mean anything to him. And they don't get that. So they think Conor at 28 has some kind of advantage. He's at a disadvantage against this guy because it's like fighting those old Chinese masters.
Yeah.
That's what it's going to be like.
Because Floyd, again, in a sport where people take a lot of punishment, he's taken the least amount of punishment of somebody that would be has fought at his level. Because he's able to be so good defensively. I mean, just look, people don't land more than 13% of the punches on him. And none of them have been good enough to really drop him. You know? He got his glove touched in 2 fights, it recorded in 1. And then and the one where he got good by Shane Mosley in the second round. He got him stunned a couple times in the second round. He was able to get out of it because Mosley he's older. He has a bad hamstring, and the referee's allowing him to hold him. So he gets out of it. He recovers. And he can go on the defensive. But that's 3 times in his entire career against guys that are top level in the sport. That's what I said, oh, he has a puncher's chance. Listen, Conor McGregor does not have a puncher's chance.
No, he doesn't.
Because if you're telling me Canelo, Oscar De La Hoya, Cotto, if you're telling me actually the greatest guys of the generations he's boxed in, and they haven't been able to hit him, you're going to tell me now for some reason Conor McGregor has a chance because he's younger and he's bigger. Listen, he has slower hand speed than Canelo. Canelo had a significant size advantage on Mayweather when they fought. And Canelo was slower. He's a power puncher. He's pretty much knocked out everybody he's been in fights with lately. And these are guys that are at, light middleweight, or welterweight. Or, those are the 3 weight classes he's been fighting in. And he's knocking those guys out. I wouldn't be surprised when he knocks out Triple G. I mean, I'm throwing that out there. But
it's gonna be a good fight. That's the fight.
That's the fight.
That's gonna be the fight.
That's the fight.
Yeah, that's the fight. That's going to be the fight. But see, nobody's talking about it because none of those guys can promote
Exactly.
as well as
Well, that's the thing is like Triple
the
G
problem.
is a
That's
marketable
gonna be fight.
guy, but people just really don't know. I'm like, yeah, I've heard of the name, you know. And then
He's never been
Canelo,
over here.
he's a good-looking guy, but he doesn't speak English, so he can't do a whole lot.
Exactly.
You know?
And yeah. And I don't think if I'm his management, I don't know what it's cultural or what it is, but why they haven't forced that guy to learn how to speak English fluently,
I don't either.
Is just amazing to me.
Do you know?
I just don't get it. It's been too long. That guy's been working too long.
Shakira is a Spanish language artist, right? She started out. She was a punk rock star in Spanish, and she made the crossover to more pop. She's made more money in English than she has in Spanish, and every album is dual. It plays more because they're paying more for it. I mean, if she doesn't speak English, she's not in Zootopia. She's not singing the anthem for three straight World Cups. You know, she doesn't get that same level of prestige. Those opportunities aren't there. You know, Ricky Martin's done 2. Whatever. What do you know? He's bilingual. He's doing 2 language. Pitbull. He's done 2 bilingual. Is people seeing a trend here? Oscar De La Hoya was bilingual. That's why he was selling so much, because he had the American audience buying into De La Hoya in English and the Mexican audience and Latin audience buying in Spanish. So they had the Latino that was on the inside. You know, they had La Raza there, but he spoke English. So the Americans were like, oh, he's one of the top boxers in our country. We can get on board with this. Like him, hate him, whatever, you know, we'll watch this. And they did. You know, again, I think when Floyd fought him, obviously he was past his prime. It was the end of his career. I don't think, knowing what Mayweather is now, looking back in hindsight, De La Hoya really didn't have a chance in the fight. Floyd knew that. I think Oscar thought he would still win, but that's how they were able to sell it. The young up-and-coming guy in the sport who could be one of the greatest, and that's when you change over to Money Mayweather, and they started the whole HBO leading it up because they had to have the build-up. Floyd is really good at selling I'm going to have the greatest vacation of my life. I'm going to tell you about it. You were going to want to go on vacation with me. I'm going to send you a whole bunch of pictures. But in actuality, the vacation wasn't even that great. I mean, who doesn't look like they're having fun in front of a beach with clear blue water? I mean, which one of those pictures look like shit? Show me one. Show me one shitty picture in front of clear blue water in paradise. I mean, if someone's being attacked by a shark, you're still watching it. It's like, oh, wow, it's this beautiful ocean. But they're getting attacked. Huh. But that's so beautiful. Like, it's still beautiful. You know, that's what it is, you know?
Well, he has to do that, though, because you got to realize Floyd became prominent in an era where there weren't a lot of other prominent English-speaking fighters.
Yeah. And you know, it's kind of like
he's fighting these guys that can't even speak English.
Floyd is kind of like putting the kids to bed. That's what it is, because getting kids to bed is the toughest thing. But he gets the kids to bed and excited to go to sleep because Santa's coming. You know, it's like Christmas. That's what he gets people to buy into Christmas. Like, people are like, yeah, Santa doesn't exist, but he's coming. I'm telling you. This is going to be, 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 you know what? And then you go, and you know what? You know, the turkey was dry, or, you know, maybe you didn't get what you thought you would. David, your skateboard that you have always wanted didn't come in. But you did get the new Tony Robbins book. I mean, but the skateboard wasn't there. The most exciting part wasn't there. That's the thing, is he sells that. But anybody that's actually watched him fight, he's a boxer. and he's a defensive boxer. He's not gonna go out and he's not gonna trade in the middle of the ring with people. He may for part of one round, but he's not gonna do that with Conor McGregor because he knows he can get knocked out. So he's not gonna do that. And he's not at the point in his career where
McGregor wouldn't knock him out anyway. Because McGregor would never connect. Like this is the thing about
if they started trading.
if
they started trading. Seriously try trading.
Yeah,
but I won't get to that.
I think Floyd would knock him out. I think Floyd would knock McGregor out before McGregor knocked him out. Because I don't think McGregor knows how to hit people as a boxer. That MMA stuff he does ain't gonna work. And I just think I think that's what I'm saying is that what Floyd to me has been a master at is Floyd is a boxer's boxer. He's a boxer for people that really, 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 really know the sport like Bell. But he's figured out how to sell that to a mass audience that doesn't really know the sport.
But it didn't.
And to do what he has to do, all the other crazy
stuff.
He's been successful at.
He has to have the build-up. He makes it a reality show.
But there's no other way to sell it.
There isn't.
Yeah, but you have to. Because Floyd to me is like, he's like a boxing version of Elijah Wan. Most people don't really understand how good Elijah Wan is because his game is so technical. So they don't really get it. They just think, oh, he's tall, that's why he does that. You see what I'm saying? And so Floyd figured out for me to really sell what I do, I gotta do the women and the girls and the cars and all that other crazy shit that people buy into. To get people to buy into it, so now they watch the fight, and then he just kept it going for so long that became his brand, and he also became the heel because he didn't start off as the heel, but he turned into the heel.
Yeah, because he was
and he also realized that works too.
Yeah, he was a pretty boy Floyd before that. So, and then he had to turn it again. He wanted to make money, so he had to sell it like he was money.
Heel. And then you see McGregor now playing the heel. You know what I'm saying? Because that's how McGregor makes his money. He plays the heel too. So it's funny that you got two guys that are known for playing the heel. So Floyd is kind of falling back and letting McGregor play the heel for more.
And you know what? And again, I don't know if it was planned or not, but the racial stuff or the racial undertone has sold even more because now it created more controversy.
Yeah, but that was always there. Like, this is America.
I know that, but I mean, even more so. It brought it more to the forefront.
No, I mean, it was always there. Like, this stuff is always, like people say that brought it. No, this stuff is every day.
Yeah.
Everyday, like, it's everyday life.
But
I think, like, maybe to white people, they feel like, oh my God, no, like, if you black, this is just everyday life.
Again, like I said, it brought it more.
Nothing new about this, I feel.
For more people, it brought it more to the forefront. They thought about it. See, that's the thing the problem with most white people is they're deniers because it doesn't affect their life on a daily basis, not in any sort of impactful way. So that's part of the white privilege. It doesn't impact them on a daily basis in any sort of significant way. So again, that's why it's denial. Oh, racism doesn't exist. We're all one race. No, we're the human race. All lives matter. Okay, yeah, all lives matter. But when you say that, you defeat the whole purpose of the movement. Like Martin Luther King, his was a similar movement. It wasn't the whole thing wasn't derived around just getting black people together and to help fight for rights. I mean, there was a lot of people that were unnamed and weren't pictured with him that were out trying to instigate things to happen to get law enforcement to act a fool so they could see how they're normally acting a fool, not in front of cameras. See, the whole thing that happened in Alabama when they got a picture of a boy getting bit on his arm, put it on the national news. But that's something that was already happening on a daily basis in Alabama. It wasn't new. Atlanta's police chief wouldn't buy into it. He wasn't arresting people. He was letting them demonstrate. He was letting them do their stuff. You have a right to speak. He allowed that, even though he didn't want it. He allowed He allowed them to do their thing. So it was a stalemate. It wasn't going anywhere. But the dude in Alabama, he was willing to do that. He brought in fire hoses. He sprayed high school kids with fire hoses.
90
sent
seconds.
dogs on them, and that made the national news. That got the attention of the president, because now the president has to do something if children are being attacked by the police and dogs. So that's the thing. They had to create the situation. The problem is now is those situations have been created. The media has exposed those police or some of the brutality, some of the racism
seconds.
that normal privileged people aren't seeing. But the thing is, it's not going beyond that. It's kind of the progress has digressed in some ways. The thing is like, okay, so we bluntly see this happen and it's still nothing wrong. They're still within their right to do that. So that's where the struggle is now. How does it move beyond that? Because obviously what we're seeing isn't equal rights, equal opportunity the way that most privileged people think. You have the same right, we can go to the same places you want. You can live wherever you want to live. You think that. But just because you can doesn't mean you're welcome.
Seconds.
That's the thing. That's racism. You're not welcome to live wherever you want. If you have to put a law into place to say that you can't steer, which means push a minority to a minority neighborhood, or to block bus, saying that, wanting to get them to not live there because they're a minority, or that you want to get other whites to not want them to live there because the people that want to live there are a minority. Again, that's why you put laws in place. If you have to put a law in place to say how you should treat people, obviously you're doing a shitty job of it. And it really exists. And you just don't see it or know how to comprehend it. It's the trees despite the forest. You see the tree, where's the forest? You don't see it because you're going by the same tree every single day. It doesn't occur to you it's a forest. It's just a tree. And it's trees are all the same. It's just trees. But it's a forest. There's life in the forest. There's more than meets the eye. But that doesn't affect their daily life. Now, if that forest was on fire coming towards their house, maybe it makes, now they're paying more attention to it. But that's the thing is, now more things are being brought to the privileged attention. So there's mixed feelings. Usually it's polar, either super one way or super the other way. Polar responses to it. And again, that's another reason why we have who we have as president, that I think a lot of us, even people who voted for him, never thought it would happen. But it did. Like, he can't even believe it. Literally. He's said it probably 100 times. So, well,
he in the know. But I don't believe McGregor's racist, but I think McGregor knows that Americans are racist.
Yeah.
And he knows that's what's going to sell the fight. Because you'll be surprised when you talk to people from like white countries that are homogeneously white, like Ireland, like Scotland, where it's pretty much almost an all-white population.
Yeah.
They can't believe how much Americans fight over race. They think it's stupid. But it's just so much a part of American history and American culture. So I think Conor realizes, because like I said, he's selling to the Donald Trump crowd. That's who he's selling to. I can get these guys to buy into it if they think I'm just like them. So I don't think for a minute that guy is really like that. But I think he wants them to think he's like that so they buy into whatever the fact is. Because he's a smart guy. This dude is not dumb.
Exactly. So, all right, I got a few minutes. Are you do you want to stay on to talk any football, or?
No, I got to get ready to roll out of here, man.
Okay. Appreciate you coming on tonight.
All right.
So, David in Atlanta. All right. You too, man. All right. Like I said, I'm going to get into NFL. We're in the overtime segment right now. We got about 30 minutes or so left in the show. So I'll go into what we got here for the overtime segment pretty quick. So Ezekiel Elliott is here we are coming up on the day where he's going to meet with the league office to basically squash the whole situation and get the news on the investigation into the domestic violence situation, which charges got dropped with this ex-girlfriend. Again, he played it. He said it was a crazy ex-girlfriend, yada, yada, yada. Well, the NFL has found out some more information in their backstories that evidently at Ohio State that there was 2 incidents of domestic violence that were unreported situations that the Cowboys more than likely knew about, but because they weren't legal issues, it wasn't brought to the forefront until now. And the tone was he shouldn't get suspended for this if he wasn't charged with anything. And then now the tone has kind of changed is I hope he doesn't get suspended for 4 games. And then now on top of this, he knocks out a guy in a nightclub. Again, it's when it rains, it storms sometimes. You know, now more things about issues of his character. It's a funny thing that people look at Des Bryant and we're like, this guy is going to be trouble. You know, his mom was a prostitute and his dad's a pimp. And he's been in trouble before, and he's struggled to get the money that he's worth as one of the top wide receivers in the league. It's still held over his head. He has little to no truly documented problems off the field. Some hissy fits or temper tantrums out of frustration or passion or whatever you want to call it on the field. But for the most part, he's been the model guy. Maybe not the model, but he's toted the line. There's been any issue with him. But, however, now you got a guy, Ohio State. He had off-the-field issues at Ohio State that were obviously not legally recorded. And guys, again, it's coming out now. Joey Bosa, who was his roommate, Ezekiel Elliott's roommate, he had to stop hanging out with him. He'd go away. Again, from what we're understanding now is what's coming out is he always has to be the life of the party and is willing to do and say and act in some outlandish ways, and which is very immature. And this is what happens. People get to a point sometimes and they just feel untouchable. It's not just athletes. There are people. There are people in life that feel untouchable, that the rules don't apply to them the way they do other people, because they've been able to jump and jive and maneuver their way out of situations and not get hit with penalties or fines or crimes that others have. So to think that this guy is going to be different if that's what his character was coming in, and he had troubles right after getting in, I know it's tough to tell somebody that's young, good-looking people that have money, have a lot of bravado to do something. They feel like they have control. And the word control in society today, control is a possession word. It means you have it. They make control feel like ownership. And that understanding of control is a fallacy. You can't possess situations or time. Can't. What you really have is influence. Some people have more influence than others. And that influence, sometimes people feel like they have so much influence. They don't understand it's simply influence. It's not the outright determination or dictation of stuff or situation or someone. People look at control of being able to dictate. Control really literally just means influence of a situation or a thing. You're able to influence it. But that understanding isn't understood really anymore. People don't look at it the same way. Like, I have control over my life. Do you? You have control over your life, and in the sense that you possess your life? Really? I'm willing to say it's somebody that has been somebody like, I'll go back to Gary Vaynerchuk. He doesn't control his life. If he did, he would own the Jets, and his new goal with the Jets would be, the most highest valued sports team in the world and be winning Super Bowls like the Patriots do. And Vayner Media would be up there with Facebook and Wine Library would be the corner staple of any sort of beverage or anything pertaining to beverages or parties or anything like that. I mean, like, you don't get it. The understanding of possessing time or a situation is idiotic. Here, I'll show you this. You control your life. My bet is you don't. You can't even control your body. Watch this. Don't think about the word bacon. Bacon. Cheeseburger with bacon. If you can't control your thoughts, what makes you think you can dictate life? Without any outside objects, just stop your heart right now. Stop it. Just close your eyes and stop your heart. Can't do that? Oh, yeah, that's right. Because you can't dictate when your heart stops in that manner. You have to use a foreign object or something to influence it. You can't just want it to happen. You have to influence it. And even Again, suicide rate is not 100%. It doesn't work a lot of the time. A lot of time, people don't even want it to work. They just want help. They want attention. And not attention in the bad way. They want somebody to care. Okay? They want someone's quality time. They want to feel like they have worth and value. Everybody wants that. And a lot of people search through life and they do idiotic things and put themselves in idiotic situations because they want to seek validation from other people. Some people that want to seek validation from other people want to make America great again. Others get in fights in clubs. So we sit back. What is the discipline? What's the punishment? Do these people really so much need the punishment? Or do they even fear the punishment? Or maybe they just need the quality attention and the right kind of bonding so they truly understand they have no control and are able to influence in better ways. I don't know. That's my 2 cents on them. Colin Kaepernick. He's not being considered for a backup role. Johnny Manziel. Another guy. Mid-20s. Both very athletic, talented people. Neither of them being considered for practice squad currently. We are about a week out from just about every training camp in the NFL. And neither of those two people have a date with the team, to meet with the team, to start practicing and training, to try to make a 53-man roster. Now, Michael Vick came out this week, yesterday, I believe, and was on Fox on Colin Cowherd's show. And then later on came on for Speak for Yourself on Fox and said something kind of, I think some people thought was surprising. Something people thought it was against the cause. And, and we're kind of taken back by what he said, that because of where he was and who he was to people before and who he is, that his response was kind of a sellout response. But that kind of goes back to what I said before. We all move through stages in life, and you see life through the lenses of your experiences. Sometimes people act, dress in a certain way because they haven't learned to do it any other way. Culture, education, environment. Culture, education, environment. That's what molds people to who they are. If you take and change those things, you can, in some ways, change how people act and behave. You can influence. People are influenceable. You can have somebody that is 1 minute out campaigning for Barack Obama, and then less than a decade later voting for Donald Trump. It's mind-boggling to think, how could that happen? But it has, and it does. Is it wrong? I can't say it's wrong. Is there anything wrong with it? No. No, because people see life through the lenses of their experiences. If your experience in life has taught you a certain thing, to see people or to see things a certain way, it's tough to see beyond what you know, what you've experienced. If your experience is police are this deplorable and harassing and demeaning, then that's what police are, because that's what you've experienced. That's how they've treated you. That's how the culture has treated it. That's how what's been fed to you through media and through propaganda and through everything, that police are bad. Run away, stay away. You can't protect yourself because it's police brutality. The more you fight, the more charges they'll rack up on you. In a lot of cases, that's very true, especially in those experiences. But for the majority, when it comes to police, anything really, it's an inverted U curve. There's a segment of that profession, that population, that acts and treats people that certain way. It's not all police. It's those police. I've seen some interesting things happen in the process of some of the Black Lives Matter movements, where in some of the cities where they've had the more intense protests or higher amounts of protests, the black on black violence has actually risen. That went down. Well, police fear their lives more, or are less apt to act and interfere in any sort of way, be it brutal or not. So it has shied the ones that want to make a difference and are doing their job and are helpful, has kind of shied them away from getting involved for fear for their safety, even more so in a very dangerous job that most of us never want to do. So is that indictment on Black Lives Matter? Not at all. It's called an unintended consequence. Again, Black Lives Matter didn't set out to increase black on black violence. They were hoping it would decrease it, that it would also bring more awareness to the brutality of police on black violence. That the lives of African Americans do have value, same way anyone else should. Again, the message is, in a sense, trying to bring it closer to what some people see as should be normal life and is normal life for them, but it isn't. Again, education, environment, culture. That's what makes people. They're different. So I'm not going to get so deep into that, but just looking at these situations, I mean, Michael Vick was in a culture where dogfighting was acceptable. Maybe it didn't seem right, but it wasn't really wrong because it was accepted, if it was illegal or not. The same way that somebody's going to go out and commit a crime in some other way, sell drugs, whatever. It's accepted because it makes money, pays the bills. It's not liked. It's not desired, truly, the end. But every other means to make money doesn't make enough money to make any difference. It's a lot harder. Not just because maybe it's more work, It's just a whole lot more time for a lot less money. It's an economic thing. Some of it, people think it's glorified, whatever, well, we glorify working on Wall Street too. We glorify Fortune 500 companies. More money is glorified. Forbes talks about it all the time. They just put out a list of the most valued franchises in sports. They do it every year. They have a list of the richest people on the planet and in the U.S. every year. And in every subsidiary of major economies in the world, China, the UK, everywhere, they put out these lists. It matters to people. It's content they feel are digestible. Lists are digestible. Polls are digestible in the sense that people are easily able to click and voice their opinion. They'll vote on stuff. And you'll see polls that completely contradict each other. Like, do you think that is the vice president, would he make a better president? 80% say no. But 52% would prefer the president be impeached. So now 30% of you are just going to contradict yourself. You want one thing to happen, but the consequence, even though the consequence is worse than the situation, that doesn't seem to make sense. That's not very logical. You think enduring harder consequences and worse consequences is better than facing a bad situation to make it a worse situation? See, people really don't know ultimately what they want. A lot of people don't. They don't like this and they don't want this. So that's where you come down to the lesser of two evils. But it's not even that. Mike Vick was in a situation that was not unfamiliar or uncommon to him because of his culture. And he went to prison because he was the top guy, the big guy of the total pool. So people ran his name through it. He did the time for it. He came out, and did he choose the lesser of two evils to not try to start it again? To not dogfight in another country that allows it? Move into some sort of fighting that is prohibitable? I don't know. Or did he learn? Did he take a life situation and said, I want to play football, so I know that even though culturally this was acceptable, that it's not acceptable to most people. And it was illegal. And I paid a price for the illegality of what I was doing. And I don't want to be in that situation to pay those prices again because I do want to play football. Is that rehabilitation? Kind of sounds like it. But some might say, oh, you're a sellout because you went away from something you liked and you built and you made money on, and that it was good for you. But some people didn't like it, so you stopped. And those were the people that were writing you paychecks. You could have kept doing that. Some found a way to make it work. You could have tried to petition Congress to make it legal. I don't know. That's it. It's like, oh, you gave up. Well, what did he give up on? Is it something, a hobby? Because it sounded like he was bankrolling a hobby. And what he really wanted to do was play football. So he knew he couldn't be involved with the hobby because he wanted to play football. If you're somebody that has never sacrificed something in life, you probably aren't where you want to be. You're probably not where you would see as successful, truly. Success takes sacrifice. It takes being wrong a lot. You know, you think every stock or company Warren Buffett has bought has been a boom? No, he's had a lot of busts. And Berkshire Hathaway was a bust. It was a bust. It was a textile factory. It made jackets, coats. And it was bleeding money for years. And they started buying other companies through it. They became assets. Then it didn't have to do textiles because they acquired enough assets that the assets balanced and improved the sheet. That's called business. People don't get that. You have to be able to fall down and skin your knee sometimes to know that falling and skinning your knee hurts or could hurt. Sometimes, not all the time. Sometimes you could watch somebody fall and skin their knee and that be impacting enough to where you're like, I'll walk and pick up my feet so I don't fall. So we're right up here towards the end of the show. A couple things didn't get into tonight. I'll try to get them in a podcast later this week. As far as with the NBA, the Houston Rockets being for sale is still a developing story. I was saying a little earlier in the show, I would expect to sell probably somewhere between $3 to $4 billion. If the UFC sold for $4 billion and the Clippers sold for 2.2, 2.5, then the Houston Rockets, who's a much more history franchise in the third largest market with talent on it, could very well sell for more. Again, that was 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. So appreciation just alone. And the fact that they have an MVP, guy's been an MVP talk 2 years in a row. The fact that, again, third largest market in the country. The fact that it's a team that competes and has shown to have good management and good people they've been in the free agent market every single year since he came in. He's made moves. He's brought in talent. He's had a team that people thought was at the bottom of the league, and he didn't have to get LeBron James to do it. But if LeBron James would have been able to fit in the puzzle, he would have done that too. That's just it. He's a mover, a shaker, a hustler. He's doing whatever he can to make things work. Again, it's chess, not checkers. And he's playing chess. And the level of chess he's playing at is really improving the value of that franchise. So I'd see him probably somewhere between 3 to 4 million. Wouldn't be surprised at all. So I'll get into that. I'm working on an article for that for the website. So definitely go over to the website, thechtonsports.com. Upper left-hand corner, just click on the listen button. You can listen to this full show, all of our shows on the GoLong Media channel on Blog Talk Radio, or just go over to Blog Talk Radio, click on GoLong Media, and listen to all the shows there. You can go to the Spreaker app. They all should be uploading, though someone said there was some issue with it. Either way, SoundCloud, great spot. I really like SoundCloud. I think it's underrated and underappreciated. So SoundCloud, iTunes. It was the iTunes. Check over on iTunes. Do me a favor. Go over to iTunes and check out for the show. If for some reason the show's not coming up, message me on Facebook. Let me know. I will address it. You can actually go and download the show too. So you can download it on Blog Talk. You can download it on Spreaker. You might be able to download it on YouTube. I see you guys on YouTube. Subscribe, please. I think the YouTube people, you should see like a circle here where you should be able to subscribe and some videos to the side with other recommended stuff. So anyways, that's going to do it here tonight on the show. I thank you all for tuning in. David called in from Atlanta. I know a few of you, we had a few others over on the line that wasn't able to bring on. But be sure to call in next week. Tomorrow, we're supposed to have Take This L show, hosted by Callie Mike. And then James Bell will be back Sunday for the Boxing Source. So, but that does it here tonight on the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. So be sure to get over to the website, thechtonsports.com. Follow the show at the CHT on Sports. Follow me at Matt Long Sports. Got 2 podcasts that I'll have out this week. One is To the Half, and the other one is Drive the Lane. Those 2 podcasts I'll have out this week. Some more information there. And look out for the articles on the website. That does it for me. Peace.
Welcome to the Cold Hard Truth on Sports. I apologize in advance if I am out of line here.
Brace yourselves, boys. We're going in.